All right, guys, welcome back to another Within Tolerance episode. This is episode 19, and we've got some really exciting news. Dylan bought a new machine, and I know we have talked about this in previous episodes, but it is pretty official, as official as it gets, and I'm going to let Dylan talk about that because it's his new baby. So, Dylan, what's the news? What did you get, if you want to talk about that? Or more importantly, I'd like to talk more about like the financing and all the nitty gritties that all like the hoops you had to jump through to get to this point.
Yeah, so a bit of a backstory. We talked about it in past episodes. Like you said, we were actively looking for a machine to replace the Kitamura. It still works great. It holds really nice tolerances, but it is showing its age. It's a 2001 machine, and we've had enough downtime on it over the years that we knew if we wanted to continue pushing forward and acquiring new customers and all that, we couldn't have any of that downtime pop up. Our other brother, the S2A, is a great machine, but it doesn't have nearly the memory or the look ahead to really support any of our 3D machining projects. A lot of our customers, like, we need a 3D machine, so we couldn't rely on that solely if the Kitamura went down. So we were actively looking for a used machine, really. And of course, when the economy does well, like it is right now, it's really tough to find good used machinery. Like, everything that's out there is either ridiculously priced or just non-existent. Like, the only brothers we could find were nearly the price of new ones. So we stumbled across a great deal from Yamazin. They had a few demo machines that they were getting rid of, and we kind of looked down the financing route and to look at what a down payment would be, look at what our monthly payment would be, terms, all of that stuff, and decided fairly recently here to pull the trigger and buy a new brother. So within the
Dun,
next
dun, dun.
within the next couple of weeks, we'll have a nice new S700 on our floor, and we're super excited to start making chips on it. And the kitty will be going up for sale as soon as the new one shows up. So if anybody out there is listening and looking for a decent older machine, something to start with, feel free to DM me or anything like that. But yeah, we're gonna hit the ground running and start making chips and all that.
He dropped the model. I literally 5 minutes ago, Dylan was hesitant to drop, just to say if it was a brother or actually say that it was an S700. So
Yeah, no,
now,
it'll be here soon
yeah,
enough. If it was
yeah.
like 8 weeks out, maybe I'd be a little more conservative about it and kind of to show people. But by the next time we're recording by ourselves, I hope it'll be either here or a few days out. So
That's 2 weeks is nothing. I mean, it's crazy to me that, when you have these weekly routines like this podcast or anything you do, I mean, it felt like yesterday that we were recording with Andrew, our guest, last week. I mean, it's weeks just go by like nothing to me, at least.
yeah, especially when I'm back in the chair, microphone, and everything. It does seem like it's just back to back.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, it's
crazy.
big news. Super excited. A lot of new bells and whistles we'll be able to play with. We're just really excited to have a new machine that we can rely on. We know we can get service, we can get parts for. It's got a warranty, all that stuff. So yeah, we're really excited for that.
So, if you don't mind, talk about, why'd you go with brother, options you got, why'd you get some versus, not getting some of the others. I know we had talked about that, some of the coolant options and whatnot you opted out of because you knew you could do it yourself, type stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like I've talked about Brother enough on here. Like, people know I like Brother. I'm a little bit of a fanboy. I've really enjoyed working on them. We've got a few at my day job. I really enjoy. I enjoy their full package. Like, I like that it's their control. I like how much they give you, like, as far as PLC and options. Like, wiring in your own stuff onto the back end of the IO is incredibly easy. I just like the full package. Like, I've we have a bunch of robo drills at work. I like the Brother package more than I like the robo drill package. And Brad really wanted a 40 taper, but right now we're only tooled up for 30 taper. And the 40 taper machines we were looking at were, double the cost of a Brother. Like, we were looking at like the Akuma or something like that. So that was kind of the reason we went down the route of Brother. And like, really, we weren't looking for a new machine, but when we saw these discounted demo machines pop up, the numbers just ended up falling into place and making sense. And then looking down, the financing route, like the monthly payments are within what we think we can do. And the added speed of setup and all of this will now, I think, even further our business, being able to turn around parts faster and things like that, create more accurate parts, better parts. So it really, a lot of things just lined up. And also, the brothers don't use air like the Kitamura does. So the whole thought of like having to buy a new compressor isn't really going to be in the near future anymore, because we won't need it. Like when we're running just the Brother on the weekend, currently the compressor kicks on like once every 10 minutes. Whereas when we're running both machines, it's like once every other minute, or like, once it'll be like a 2-minute break. So that decreases cost in the near future on that side.
Quality of life goes up.
Right. Exactly. Like I don't need to spend 10K plus on a screw compressor now, because the compressor we have does a great job. It's just loud. But if it's only running, once every 20 minutes for a couple minutes, I'm okay with that. Like we can both live with that, and that's fine. So there was just, a lot of things all came together that just made sense. And we're just super excited really for it.
That's going to be so cool. You're going to have to do lots of videos. You should do if you can. I don't know how much video experience you have, but if you could do like a delivery video, that would be really cool.
I think we're planning on it. I definitely want to start doing some more videos and posting to our YouTube channel for Proteum. Just because there's a lot of projects I want to do. And I feel like the amount of videos of brothers on YouTube, like they're either from Yamazin themselves, or they're kind of lower quality, or not as, I don't know. They don't really go through the nitty gritty, which thankfully I've worked on them and I've used, an S700, and I really like them. But I would have liked more video content out there before I bought ours for sure.
So you have, or your day job has this exact machine?
No, so we've got a M140 at work, and then an older, I want to say it's like a TC22B, which is a B0 control, so the last generation control, which is my first real Brother experience. Then we bought ours, and then we got the M140 at work, which has the new C0 control. And then one of our customers, I helped kind of push into an S700. Like they were cross shopping between an S700 and like I think a VF2. And I was, very complimentary of Yamazin and of the machines, and, kind of priced them out apples for apples with them, and was like, for a little bit more money, I think for what you guys are doing, you're getting more machine, and it makes more sense for your business case. And like, so far they love it. And I went to their training on the probing and table tool setting and all of that, because it ended up helping me at my job to just get it up, my feet wet with probing. So I've played on their machine a little bit, and it's going to be great. Like we're going to now have more travel as well, which means we can turn down less work, large work. So there's just a whole bunch of benefits. I'm just super excited to start playing around with it.
Yeah, that you got to do a lot of videos on that, because I know when I was looking into Brother, like you said, not a lot of content out there. I mean, just simple stuff like, basic things like, how does the control work? Because I've seen the control and see people use it, and I'm so used to like a Haas or a Fanuc, like just basic videos. I think you could not only get a lot of good feedback, but honestly, I think the videos would be pretty popular.
Yeah. Well, and like it is a very unique control. Like it operates similar to Fanuc in some aspects. I find it more user friendly, but there are like quirks, like when you edit offsets, or like work offsets, tool offsets, any user parameters, anything like that, you have to confirm your changes before you exit out of the screen. Otherwise, they won't take. So like if I go in and add wear to a tool, if I don't hit end with saving changes and I go back to the program and run it, it won't run it with that new component. Like you have to say,
is that just a safety kind of thing?
I think from their point of view, yes, it is. And like when you get used to it, it's super nice, because I don't know about you, but like there are a million times on our kitty where I will mean to increment the G54, I like shift my X 1 thou, and I'll forget that I'm in absolute mode, and I'll change my X to 1 thou and like have to go refine my X again because I've just wiped it completely out.
Yeah.
Like I've done that far too many times. And on the brother control, if I did that, I could just say cancel or end without saving changes, and you just jump back into that menu, and there it is again. It's exactly how it was.
That's a nice little, like you said, little quirk, but it's a useful one.
Yeah, and it just takes some getting used to. It's funny, after using my brother at my shop and then going to work, or like going to work on the kitty at my shop, I'll like reach for the button to end with saving changes and then be like, oh, I don't have to do that. That's not there. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, once you get used to it, it's just, another part of doing business. So, but it'll be nice to have a super fast control, pretty much no, as far as we're concerned, almost no memory cap. Like I've never posted a program that big that I would fill up the C0 control.
Yeah.
So just like there's a ton of little quality of life improvements going to a brand new machine that I'm just super looking forward to. Like it's I love our Kitamura so much. It's really tough to even think about parting with it. But man, as far as like setting up parts, job shop work, just getting it in and out, it's going to be so much quicker.
Yeah, one thing I want you to do is you need to take more pictures of your Kitamura and some video, because I've like looked through your Instagram a little bit, but like I don't think I've seen like a good picture of it, honestly. There's like the one that you did for the challenge, Machinist Therapy Hotline challenge.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's
you should do a little more documentation of that before you get rid of it.
yeah, totally. I mean, it's a great machine. Like it's got the one big thing too is since we don't use the pallet changer, like every time we rotate that pallet, it's what, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 seconds. And like it doesn't seem like much, but when every single every single part, you're not using the pallet changer for a pallet changer, and you just have to wait for that. Like it's going to be so much time savings just in that. So
Oh yeah.
somebody who's looking for a higher production machine, it's going to be perfect for, like, especially somebody who's looking for a lower cost, like high production machine, because that thing will run all day with that pallet changer if you keep it loaded. But yeah, it's got a pallet changer. It's got a chip conveyor, fairly large coolant tank, really, really good coolant flow, 15K spindle. Like it's a sweet little machine. I'll definitely have to take some more pictures, but
I didn't realize it was 15K.
oh yeah. It's a pretty high speed spindle.
What's your older brother spindle wise?
It's a 10K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And our new one's a 10K as well. It's a 10K high torque, big plus spindle.
So the dual contact.
Yeah, dual contact and higher torque. So it's like, I want to say 3 or 5 more horsepower than the standard 10K spindle and the standard 16K spindle.
I remember it was like close to double, it seemed like, or something crazy.
It's a lot. Like in comparison, it for the wide variety of parts that we do, and we've only been doing more stainless as our business progresses, it's going to be significantly more. Yeah, so it's like 4 more horsepower continuous and 5 or almost 6 more horsepower momentary with the high torque version. So it's high torque, dual contact, all that fun stuff. It's got one thing that I love about the Brothers that is missing on a lot of dual contact spindles is it's got a spindle wash when you change the tools. So it actually has like a nozzle pointed at the spindle and washes the tool and the spindle off in between tool changes.
Really?
Yeah. So like a big problem when you're mixing big plus tools and non-big plus tools is that chips get trapped up under.
Yeah.
And then they'll throw your tool out, and you'll crunch them in that flange, and it'll throw your tool out, and you'll have a ton of run out, and it'll cause parts to go out of spec and all that stuff. But the spindle wash will greatly reduce the chance of that happening.
Yeah, I remember when I was looking at the Doosan that was dual contact, that's one thing he brought up. He's like, make sure you always clean your holders, like clean, like always, because of that exact issue.
Yeah, I mean, we had that problem at work recently. We were cutting some parts, and we didn't realize, well, I had never looked at it, but our tooling guy didn't realize that this holder was a big plus chuck. And they were putting it in there, and they I don't know, they had run 20 or 30 parts totally fine, and then all of a sudden the flatness on the surface that it was cutting and these counter bores just started going to crap. And like, they were like, I don't understand what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up looking at the tool holder, and yeah, it's big plus, and it had, trapped a chip up under it and was, running out like crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's another big plus of the Brother,
Yeah.
is the spindle wash. So I'm excited for that. We're going to have probing and tool setting. So that's, again, going to just greatly reduce our setup times. I mean, as a job shop, this as well. So much of your time, especially on like a onesie twosie part, is setup. It is,
Yep.
finding your offset. It is setting, 10 or 15 tools. And now I'll just be able to say, set tools 1 through 15, go. And while it's doing it, I can turn away. I can start, deburring stock, or I can set up the other Brother, or, there's so much I can be doing while it's setting tools.
I don't think you can deburr stock that fast.
It's pretty
it touches
quick.
those tools off pretty quick.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But
I mean, you'll deburr maybe a corner of a block of aluminum by the time.
Yeah, but so it's a big step up for Proteum. We're one of both Brad and my big tenets of like pushing towards one of us going full time was that we would have a new machine with service and with parts availability and all that. And so this only gets us that much closer towards one of us going full time.
Is that something in the foreseeable future, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think that both Brad and I really enjoy our jobs, and we've got good benefits, so we're not
too eager to leave.
Yeah. Neither of us is like anxious to leave. I think,
but I think that option might. I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, I think the option now is kind of a little more like, like it's actually more feasible now type thing.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Like before, there was like quite a few steps that we needed to check before we could go, and like this was one of the big ones. Was like something new, or that had service, that had parts, that had like for the Kitamura. I think I've said it before, but like just to get somebody from Yaskawa out to service the control, like if we couldn't figure it out, which thankfully up until now we've been able to figure out everything that's wrong, but just to get them out here was like $2,000. Because they have to fly from California.
Jeez.
You're paying per diem. You're paying for the rental car. You're paying hotel. You're paying all of that just to get them out there. And then I think it's like $150 or $200 an hour when they come out.
Yeah, and then they solve it in an hour, and you have to pay for them to fly back.
Right. Well, and really, if it's something Brad and I can't figure out, they probably won't solve it in an hour, and they'll probably spend hours doing it and not figure it out and have to like call in somebody else or talk to somebody back at headquarters or something like that. Like
that's very true.
Like we've been able to figure out quite a bit and learn quite a bit about the control. So the only time we've ever had to utilize Yaskawa was when we had to have our main board reflowed and fixed back, I don't know, 2 years ago now. And even then, if you send anything to them for repair for any Yasnet control and it needs repair, their repair costs are automatically half the cost of a new board, no matter what needs to be done. Like in our case, I think it was 2 capacitors that needed to be replaced, and they charged us half the cost of an entire new board.
That's just, I don't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like even at $200 an hour to replace 2 capacitors is nowhere near what they charged us. Like it's a couple $100. Like it's so yeah, it's. We love the machine. It was fantastic to start out with, but for where we're heading and where we want to push the business towards, this is like the absolute best decision we've made. We found some really good financing, really good terms, and it's just the whole process has been great. We're really excited.
Yeah, and like going back to what you're saying, for someone that wants to buy that old Kitamura, honestly, like you said, if someone has like a part that they just need to make a lot of, and it's like, not something too crazy of a part, that would be a kick butt machine, because it'd be a low cost of entry to get the machine and just have it run.
Right, exactly. I think there's, I think it's Hoback Knives that are on Instagram. I think they have the one size larger than our machine in their shop.
Oh, really?
And it's like the same age, more or less, it seemed like. But I think it's a 2XI spark changer, if I remember right.
Okay.
So like there are people out there using them. It's a great machine. Like and it works really well. And like Yeah, service is hard to come by if you want a tech out, but like all of the Yaznak manuals are online, like 100% free. All of the phone support through Yaznak and Kitamura is 100% free. So if you have the ability to troubleshoot on your own and figure problems out, like it's a great machine still. Like you're not going to call, you can't call Fanuc and have them troubleshoot something on the phone for you with a couple, for a couple hours. But
Yeah.
you can with Kitamura and you can with Yaznak, or you can email them and their email support's great. Like and there are parts still available for the Kitamura. They're just not at they're stored in Chicago. They're not in Phoenix. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it'll find a good home. We're hoping pretty quick, and we're gonna have a new brother, which will be great.
So to sell the Kitamura, are you gonna list it on like where are you gonna sell it? I was just curious.
Probably just Craigslist at first, and then see where that
See what
goes. And
happens.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
where we bought the Kitamura from in the first place, and that's where we
Okay.
found a whole bunch of CNCs in the past and like looked through and stuff. So we'll try it out there, and if it doesn't sell, we'll kind of engage other avenues. But I don't know. Like I said, finding used machines that aren't astronomically priced right now is really hard. So I have a feeling that we'll probably have some pretty good luck getting rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I mean anything used, it's almost the price of a new machine minus just $5,000. Some stupid amount of money they want for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean the other brothers we were looking at on like eBay and stuff were 2/3, if not 3/4, the price of a brand new machine, and they were 10 years old. 9, 10 years old, something like that. So yeah, everything just worked out for how it's supposed to.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see pictures of you. I mean, how quickly do you think you're gonna get chips going? Probably pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when they're going to be able to have a tech out. Like I know it's like I said, 2 weeks out. I don't know if a tech's going to be available the same day. If not, I mean, we should be able to make chips the day that a tech comes out and sets it up. Realistically, like we've got vices, we have tools. As soon as I get word that the machine has shipped, I'm going to be buying pull studs and a set ring for the probe and one of the Mari tool gauge length tools for the tool setter, and
Oh,
then
the master gauge length ones.
yeah, exactly, because we got those at work and they're fantastic. Like you can set tools and figure it out, but like it just makes it so dead simple that there's no I'd much rather do it right from the start.
That's awesome. It's gonna be like I've told you off air. It's bugging me that you're getting a new toy and I'm not.
Well, you've been playing with a new toy for a long time, so
It's a year old. It's getting up there.
yeah, well, our newest machine is 18 years old at this point, so
Yeah, that's
I'm
grandpa.
yeah, I'm ready to come into this decade even.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
So it's going to be a 2019. Is that what it's going to be labeled as?
no, it is a 2018 machine. It was at
Okay.
IMTS last year, so it is a 2018 machine, but it's factory new and all that. So yeah, it should be great.
Do you know how many hours it has on it?
I don't. I'm sure I could ask and find out. I
Probably not a
no,
lot.
I think it was used in one of the booths at IMTS. And I'm not even sure if it actually cut chips or not.
Just moved around, did a little dance.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out when it gets here, but I do know that it's more or less brand new, and it's got all the options we wanted. We did decide not to go with the through spindle coolant for the moment because it's a pretty expensive option, and there are quite a few people on like the Brother Facebook group and Instagram that have recommended doing the pump and all that stuff yourself, saving a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much one of the only options we turned down. That and the lighting, because the light that they sell you is like really expensive. And now that we've done the lights and the other brother, like we're just going to do them the exact same way.
Yeah, just copy paste what you did that won't void any warranty, will it?
No, I mean we did it at my day job too in the
Oh,
M140.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, you're running everything through a power supply of its own, so there's almost no way that it could affect the machine tool.
Oh, yeah, then perfect.
Yeah, you're just supplying a relay with like a a low voltage signal from the IO, and that the relay is what triggers the power supply to turn on and all that. So
Okay. Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
yeah, it's easy. I mean, like I've now been a part of 2 installs. Like I was watching and not really helping, but I watched a lot on the one that they did at my day job. I did the one at my shop. I think I still have enough wire that I should be able to do it. I just need to buy the 2 lights, the power supply, and the relay, and we'll be in business. $100 or $120 later.
Yeah. Just like you said, makes it, so much nicer to have that light.
Oh yeah. That's another thing that is a big upgrade from the kitty. Is like the kitty's got one of those yellow
Oh my
fluorescent
God.
tubes from
I
on one side.
hate those so much. I don't even like that's a turn off. If I have to run a machine, like no. Nope.
I didn't realize how much I disliked it until we put the lights in the Brother, and then I was like, "Wow, I can see everything in here, and I can't see everything in the other machine."
Oh my God. I hate my like the most cringy thing to me is Haas machines with those older lights. Oh my God. Like I don't know why. I just like no. Just no.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
So besides that, other shop updates. Had a really successful weekend. Ran a whole bunch of parts. That fixture that I posted on Instagram, we ran 180 parts through it between yesterday and today, and for the most part had no issues. So the parts we were drilling in there were these long tubes of copper, and one of the stations, I don't know if we over tightened it or what happened. So much broke all at once that it's hard to tell where the failure mode actually happened.
Oh
So
geez.
all at once, one side of those Mighty Bite clamps snapped, and the drill broke off in the part and like exploded the part outward. Like
Whoa.
yeah, I'll have to find it and take a picture of it and post it. But I'm not sure if the drill broke, which led to the clamp breaking, or if the clamp broke, which pulled the part up into the drill and broke the drill. I
Okay.
I don't know, like the chicken and the egg there. So it was like that happened. I don't know, maybe 80 parts in or 70 parts in.
That's kind of scary, like
So it
mid
was,
run.
yeah, it was super nerve wracking going the rest of the run. And on top of it, we lost the whole station. So we lost one complete part per run, which
Oh, because
sucked.
it was op one and op two, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. The front, we were running 5 op 1s and 5 op 2s in the back. Um, so that was kind of a failure, I guess. But again, I don't know if it was, a clamp defect. I don't know if we over torqued it, because I meant to get a torque screwdriver for it. It's like 2.5 foot-pounds for that specific clamp.
Okay.
And I couldn't find one under like 150 or $200, and it was like a quick turn part, and it was like, man, I'm not spending almost $300 with shipping to get a torque screwdriver. Like I can figure that out.
Yeah.
But apparently, again, I don't know if we caused it. I don't know if the drill broke and caused it. Um, there was so much broken all at once that it's really hard to kind of figure out what actually happened.
Yeah. It's always frustrating when something like that happens. Not only mid run that makes your life scary for the rest of the run, but if you don't know what happens, it's like, well, I want to know. Like, I want to learn here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I didn't want any more to break, but I like really wanted to figure it out.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I mean, it seemed like all the other 4 of the clamps worked fine and are still working fine. So I'll probably just replace that one and recut it. And if the job comes, well, I'll replace it if the job comes back, and it should be fine.
That sounds good. Yeah. Do you think that'll be a repeat job?
They said to make a good fixture because it could be. So,
Okay.
we delivered on time, and I think they're to spec parts and all that stuff. So I'm hoping it comes back, but we'll see. Like the order was enough in and of itself to afford the fixture. Like I don't regret the fixture at all, even if it's only a one time thing, because it made it so easy. But if it comes back, that's great. Like more power to us.
Did you do the good old NRE?
No, I didn't this time. This was a new customer. We really wanted to take them in. There was enough money in it already that I wasn't too worried about it. So
That's good. That's smart.
yeah, and I think the fixture took I don't know, maybe an hour, hour and a half to like completely make and dial in and everything. So it really wasn't a whole bunch of lost time.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, I posted that one little fixture I made. That, like you said, I don't know why I'm so hesitant. I feel like it's partially because everyone's lazy to some extent. You think you can get away with doing certain things. And it's like I said in my post, I'm like, I'm just going to spend the time. Probably took me an hour, maybe an hour and a half to design it, machine it, and just made running 50 parts just way nicer.
Oh yeah, I bet. Like having a good fixture for a good process, it makes things so easy. It really just takes away so much of the stress of starting a job like that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get more into that mentality of, even if it's a super simple fixture, just make it. It'll make your life easier, especially if it's a repeat job. I found that with those casting parts, I didn't think that'd be a repeat, but luckily I made good enough soft jaws and whatnot that now that it came back, it's like, okay, I'm glad I spent that upfront time to make these fixtures and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. Did they give you any indication now that they're back if they'll return a third time?
I went to their shop and they were building a pretty elaborate fixture to run them themselves, but I don't know if the fixture will work. I really don't know. I think I mentioned to you maybe over text, but it's initially this current batch is 100. It was 50 before, now it's 100. And then I texted him and was like, "Hey, I remember you setting aside this box of another 50 parts that were um, quote good, better than the last ones." And I was like, because he had mentioned to me like, let's back up for the audience. I originally quoted these parts at a quantity of 200, and then they gave me 50, and I ran them at the same price that I quoted at 200, which honestly didn't really make much money at all. I just learned a lot, which not a bad thing, but it's like, I'd like to make something. And so now they came back and were like, we want to do 100. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to requote you though, because that's not 200. And I'm not going to go off that same price anymore.
Right.
So
Plus, you had actual historical data on how long they're going to take this time.
exactly. Yeah. Which was a lot longer. And so I requoted them. They accepted it. They sent me a PO. And then he mentioned to me in person, he's like, your requote was a little bit high. Just wanting to let you know. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but that's what they're going to cost. And so when I got back home, I texted him. I'm like, hey, just a thought. If you want, I can run that other box of 50 parts and I can drop my price a little bit because it'll be more volume. And he's like, that's actually a really good idea. So I haven't reached out to him to go pick him up, but I mean, I'm going to drop the price a little bit, save them a couple $100, and I'll have more parts to run. So
Sweet. That was a great idea.
yeah,
I feel like maybe more shops need to be like that. Like I feel
yeah,
like I miss opportunities on that kind of stuff too sometimes where it's like that. Well, I've gotten better about it, but yeah, we've definitely missed out on larger quantities in the past by like offering price breaks and things like that.
yeah. That was another thing about I had reran those one parts, and I reran way more than they ordered. And I told them, I'm like, I know you don't need these now. I'm willing to give them to you, and you can pay for them, in a couple months when you need them or whatever, or I can hold on to them, and then they're just ready to go. Whatever you want to do. And they ended up taking them just to get them anodized and all that. That way, their lot fee was cheaper per part. And I basically ended up saying, "Hey, I'll drop the price a little bit if you buy all of them." And they're like, "Okay." So they did that and bought the extras, which kind of got lucky on that one.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you did. That's for sure.
Dylan knows the details, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, you got through them. That's what matters.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, that's great. Yeah. And then I'm trying to think. Uh, yeah, it was a good weekend though. Like we made a lot of parts. That fixture worked well. It was my first time using those fixture clamps too, which it was nice to get that under my belt.
Yeah, those are the ones that you actually machined, like little soft jaws, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you put this little clamp on the top of them when you're expanding them the first time, and that holds them steady, kind of like a parallel does in your soft jaws when you're cutting them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we also had Brad Southard out from Southern Knives, which was really cool. This weekend, he was actually there when I was setting up that fixture.
Is he local to that area?
Yeah, he lives here too.
Oh, okay.
So his shop is maybe 15, 20 minutes up the highway from mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, we kind of connected, I feel like a long time ago over Instagram. And just both were, too busy to really go see each other's shops. But finally, everything fell together and he was able to come out and check out the shop and we chatted for a while. So that was great. I think Brad says he listens to the podcast. So, hey, Brad, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always cool to see local machinists meet up with other fellow Insta machinists and hang out, and it's really cool.
Yeah, well, he does a whole lot of probing and in-process inspection and all of that on his knives. So there's definitely a lot that I want to pick his brain about. I've used probing now a little bit, but I am nowhere near the macro master that I wish I was. And it sounds like he's got a really good handle on it. So I'm sure I'll be picking his brain more as I get more into it.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have so much fun with that.
Yeah, I am so pumped. Like there are, like even yesterday and today, like making soft jaws and just finding the center of soft jaws and stuff. Like it's not terribly hard with a hammer, but it is a hell of a lot easier to just put the probe in the center and tell it the rough X, say like, oh, 6 inches, go, and it'll find the center for you. Like, you know, little things like that, I think are going to really decrease our lead times on a lot of parts. It'll make things, if I have to put features into cast parts or raw stock that is, round or rectangular, I'll be a lot less hesitant to bid work like that because it's so much easier to just probe it and call it a day and go. Everything's perfectly centered, everything's ready to go.
It'll be interesting because you've seen the videos everyone has on how intuitive their Haas's probing system is, with the pictures and whatnot. It'll be interesting, and I want you to do some videos on it on how simple is it actually.
Yeah, for sure. I know the Brothers is nowhere near as easy with pictures as the Haas one. Like all the brother probing is done through programs themselves. So like I think it's programs. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but like there's a 0707, I think if I remember right, is like an XYZ touch, and so
Okay.
it tells you in the program position it off in X and Y how much you want. You tell you edit the code and tell it how far in X and Y you want to go, and hit go and it does it. And actually, the way Yamazin is setting up machines lately is that all of the work offsets, XYZ shifts, web thicknesses, all pretty much any variable you have to put into one of those probing expressions, they're now using the 900 macro variables.
Okay.
So, I think it's probably better because then you're never editing a program. You're just editing a macro variable. Plus, you can set those within a program and change them on the fly.
A little more flexible.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nowhere near. I mean, I don't think anybody has probing as easy as a Haas. Like Haas's shining jewel is by far their control. So
yeah, for sure.
It's definitely not like that, but it's not terribly hard either. Like I've used Renishaw's Easy Set, at least an old version of it that's on our robo drills at work, and I would say it's easier than that for the most part. I like having the individual programs to do different things. Like even the tool setter is also individual programs. So like if you want to set tool 1, it's program 1, and you just type in 1, hit enter, hit go, and it sets tool 1.
Oh wow!
And I think that's all the way up through 21, which is the last tool, and then I don't know if it's 22 or what the number is, but then there's one where you give it a range of tools to set.
And it just does it.
Yeah, and it just does it.
That's super cool.
Yeah, which compared to like the tool setter on our Doosan at work, that's all like a graphic interface, but I find that there's more button pushes in the graphical interface to get everything working and how you want it than there is just running the programs on the brother control.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely do a bunch of videos showing it because, like I said, I wish there had been more videos when I was first looking into brothers. I don't know, a year or two ago. just so that I could look. There's a few from Binary Engineering on YouTube. I think it's
Yep.
J Drink H2O or something like that on YouTube. That's Jared, if I remember right. Um,
And then there's the other guy, I don't know off the top of my head, that makes the GoPro camera cases.
oh yeah, he makes what is his name? I just had it on the tip of my tongue and then I completely blanked. I know it's the Crace GoPro case. I just
Yeah, it's like her. I don't want to butcher it. It starts with an HIR, I want to say.
oh yeah, Hirodin or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luna CNC is his website. I just looked it up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a few really really good ones. He's got that excellent video. I don't know if you ever saw that he made a engraving macro program that'll like
I watched that and then I got lost in it.
yeah, there's like it's quite a bit of like deep macro programming in it. But it's really cool how much you can do with it. So
Yeah, so
yeah, so it was a good weekend. It's been a good couple weeks, like just lots of nerves and stress.
of all kinds.
Oh yeah, it's good stress, and it was a big decision. Like I've talked about in the past. We loved that everything we had was paid for. We liked not having a lot of debt on the company. But I don't know. At this moment, it feels like the right move. Like it's not a ton of money. We're not $500,000 into debt. It's I don't feel like we're sinking ourselves underwater.
But it is not chump change.
No. But I'm not saying that by any means. But
Yeah.
it's the right choice. Like we're doing well as a business. We're gaining more customers, and if we want to gain more customers and continue to like not have to, I don't know. There's just like so many little things that an older machine doesn't let you do. And probing is one thing that is just going to make us a better company. It's going to make us quicker. It'll make all of our parts more accurate. I will feel much better about bidding tighter tolerance parts because of
Yep.
it. So there's just, it's the right time. And I feel very confident in that.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're going to end it here if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So, guys, if you haven't checked out last week's episode, we talked to Andrew McEwen, all things 3D scanning. It was a really interesting episode. And then next week, if I'm correct, right, Dylan, we have
Yeah,
Dr. Phil coming on.
we do. So definitely pay attention next week for when that pops up because we're going to talk to him about all things tabbing, 5-axis, motorcycle parts. I mean, he does so much cool stuff over at MJK. I'm really, really looking forward to picking his brain about all that. And look for our Instagram post for questions because I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions for him. He's constantly fielding questions on his Instagram posts. So save them all up. We'll make a post, put them on there. We'll make sure that we ask all your guys' questions and credit you. And it should be a good time.
Yeah, I can't wait. So we will see you guys next week with Dr. Phil.